It's Jeremy Bowers here today. We got Noah Ostroff with us today. Thanks for joining us on Philadelphia Education Week. It's 11 o'clock every day this week and next week. And we have some great people so far. We had Mike McCann, who does over 300 million. We had a guy that was number one in the world, Keller Williams, that, I think 2,500 houses a year. That was yesterday, Bob, right?
Yep.
We got us today. We have Carrie tomorrow. Noah tells me, I know Carrie a little bit, but Noah tells me Carrie is one of the best marketers he's ever met, right? She does over 400 million.
She's the best.
It's not even one of the best. She's the best. And then next week we have Jeff Cohen. He was the number one Berkshire agent in America after Mike left. McCann, he came over to Keller Williams. And then we have a mastermind panel and might be thinking of one other thing next week. So it's been awesome. So I appreciate you guys jumping on today. Here's the topic: the magic behind creating business out of thin air. Okay. And Noah, most people do not know this, and myself, in their past life, he was a DJ and I was a magician. So we're going to share some of our tricks today how to do that. So a little bit about Noah. If you don't know Noah created Philly Living. Noah started up the KW Philly and has built an amazing culture with amazing people. And a lot of you guys are on here today. It's great to see your faces all here today smiling. There's one thing that we can't duplicate on Zoom is seeing the actual person in person. And I don't know about you guys. I miss being around people. But Noah has a great topic with myself today. He's going to dive into it a little bit right now. And then we're going to pivot a little bit, talk a little bit more. One thing I want to remind you guys, please put your questions in the comment section. It's been going great this week. I've been answering everybody's questions. And without further ado, Noah, take it over.
All right, cool. So we decided to pick the topic of the magic behind how to create business out of thin air, because we can literally talk about anything we want. So that's why we did that. So what we always try to do is we want to talk about some things to get your mind thinking in a little bit different of a direction, to think in ways that, maybe you're not hearing on a daily basis, to get you to understand different perspectives and how you can translate that into your business. So I want to start off today with a little story, and then I want to lead that into the topic of business oxygen. Okay, so remember that word, business oxygen, because we're going to talk about that in a second. But I want to start off by telling you guys a little story. I did not write this story, but here's a little story. A boy once asked a wise old man what the secret to success is. After listening to the boy's question, the wise man told the boy to meet him at the river in the morning, and he would be given the answer there. In the morning, the wise man and the boy began walking toward the river. They continued on into the river, past the point of the river, covering their nose and mouth. So at this point, they were covering their nose and the mouth. They were underwater. At this time, the wise man ducked the boy into the water. As he struggled to get out, the wise man continued to push him further down. The boy felt a fish slip by his leg and squirmed to get up even harder. The man eventually pulled the boy's head up so he can get air. The boy gasped as he inhaled a deep breath of air. The wise man said, "What were you fighting for when you were underwater?" The boy replied, "Air." The man said, "There you have the secret to success. When you want to gain success as much as you wanted air when you were under the water, you will obtain it. That's the only secret." So the moral of the story: success starts with the desire to achieve something. If your motivation is weak, your results will follow suit. Think about what you desire the most in life and work toward getting it. Don't allow your environment or other people to influence the things that you truly want. Just because the fish swimming by is comfortable being underwater doesn't mean that you are. So I thought that was a pretty relevant story to the topic that I wanted to start off with today around business oxygen. So we think about oxygen and what it means. And I could have taken this in many different directions. I was going to use the example about an umbilical cord and how it transfers blood oxygen back and forth from the mother to the baby. I was going to talk about the scuba diver and how a scuba diver runs out of air. But I wanted to talk about business oxygen because your current expenses will consume future oxygen. Current expenses will consume future oxygen of your business. So here's the example that I wanted to give you. And you can think about this in your personal life if you have more personal expenses than you have in business expenses. But for most of us, for a lot of us on this call, this is going to be relevant to our business, and then it's also going to be relevant to our personal lives. So let's just say your business requires $10,000 a month in expenses to run. That's what your current expenses are. And let's say you have $20,000 in the bank. So if you made zero revenue for the next 2 months, you could survive for the next 2 months before you had no money left in your bank account, right? Because you had 20,000 in the bank account. It costs $10,000 a month to run your business. You can survive for 2 months without running out of money, right? And for a lot of people, there's no more money to put back into the business to get it afloat again. So most healthy businesses, we talk about a healthy business in one that typically has 3 to 4 months worth of reserves in it. And during the slower times, in a typical business for us, maybe during the winter time, we try to get our reserves up to 6 months in the bank. Meaning if we had zero revenue for 6 months, no money coming in for 6 months, we actually could survive. We could take the money in our bank to pay our bills and survive. Well, that translates to your personal life as well, because if you have no revenue coming in, forget about business expenses for a second. Think about personal expenses, right? Everybody has personal expenses. You have rent, you have a mortgage, maybe you have a car payment, you have food, you have, all the other stuff that you have in your personal expenses. If you have no revenue coming in, how much money do you have in the bank to keep you afloat before your bank account runs down to zero? So this is something I've been thinking about a lot, because we talk about the topic of cash flow a lot, and we always teach you should always have a healthy business and have 3 to 4 months worth of reserves or 3 to 4 months worth of savings in your bank account. Yet we never really have to dip into that, because for a lot of people on this call, you have business coming in, whether that's 1 deal a month, 10 deals a month, or 100 deals a month. You have some form of business in a normal market. Well, that rainy day fund for a lot of people is kicking in right now. So there's different ways that we can manage that, right? So the first example I gave is your business costs $10,000 a month to run and you had 20,000 in the bank. Well, if you could minimize your expenses down to 5,000 a month, right? You cut out the non-essential things, the things that are not giving you a return in your business, then theoretically you can survive for 4 months, right? Because you have 20,000 in the bank. Now your business only costs $5,000 a month to run. So right now, we all need to not only be in survival mode, we need to be in thriving mode, right? We need to figure out how to stop the bleeding, right? Stop the bleeding in our business. And we do that by figuring out how to cut the non-essential expenses out of our business and out of our lives, and figure out how to get the business going again and get it into action, because cash flow is going to be what keeps you alive and keeps your business alive. I think about a lot of the small businesses around the country, and I don't think that we've really seen the dark side of what we're dealing with yet. Right now in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, everybody is shut down. So it just looks like everybody's, quote unquote, out of business right now. Well, when things open back up, whatever that means, there's going to be a lot of businesses that didn't have 2 months or 3 months worth of reserves in their business bank accounts, and they've been bleeding cash for the last couple months while we've been shutting down, and they won't have the money. They won't have the backstop to open back up for business again. And I think we're going to end up seeing a lot of small businesses never return back to be in business again. So I don't want to see that happen to you guys. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. So I wrote down a couple notes here that I just wanted to talk about. So in the beginning of the year, or the end of last year, we sat down and we did a business planning clinic with everybody, and we put together our budgets for 2020. Right? Everybody did that. A lot of people on the call did that. we need to throw those budgets out. We need to throw those business plans out because everything changed. We need to build a brand new business plan with brand new budgets. And we need to take a tactical approach, more of a tactical approach than a strategic approach here. So keeping business alive requires cash. So we hear a lot of people complaining about problems, right? COVID-19, coronavirus is a state of environment. It's not a problem. It is a problem, but it's more of a state of environment than a problem. And the reason for that is because it's out of our control, right? We can't control the environment that we are in. I'm sorry, we can't control this because of this problem. The real problem is how do we save our business and how do we stabilize our business and how do we give us the best odds to survive? So we need to be focusing on the problems that we can solve, right? You can focus on the actions that you perform. You can focus on the time that you wake up every day, the clothes that you put on, the exercising that you're going to do, the mindset that you're going to have, the people that you listen to give you positivity, the negativity that you stay away from, the schedule that you keep, the routines that you go on, the Zoom calls that you go on, the actions that you take in your business, whether that's a phone call, a text, an email, staying in front of past clients, getting in front of new clients, whether that's coming up with new and creative ways to reinvent yourself, to market yourselves in different ways and stand out from the crowd. These are all decisions that are within your control, that you can control. And that's what's going to help you survive and get through this and thrive on the other side of this. So if you've only been playing offense and not defense the last couple of years, things are probably going to be tough for you, right? Things are probably going to be tough for you during this time, but it's not too late. So there's an old saying, I forget who said it, but they say, how well you run your business during the good times will dictate how well you will survive during the bad times. So I'll repeat that. How well you run your business during the good times will dictate how well you will survive during the bad times. So a bad economy does not cause your business to go broke, but it does expose the weak ones. That's something that Warren Buffett said. So I think you're seeing a lot now where people may not have been running their businesses the right way to survive during something like this, during the downturn. And they're struggling a little bit right now. We're all struggling a little bit or a lot bit right now. But the ones that have prepared properly for this and are doing the right things and have been doing the right things all along and will continue to do the right things are the ones that are going to not only survive this, but thrive on the other end of this. So when we talk about progress and we talk about, getting through this, not all progress is measured by ground gain, right? This is the perfect example of this. It's not always about the ground that we gain, which determines the progress that we have. Sometimes progress is measured by losses avoided, right? So right now, the last couple months, we're focusing on the progress that we have by not avoiding the losses that we have, or that could be for some of you refinancing your properties, right? Saving money on properties by refinancing them. That can be on cutting expenses that maybe you should have done a long time ago to make your business more profitable. And maybe it could be, getting your butt in gear to do the things that you always should have done in the first place, but never thought you had to do because the business was coming in and pouring in, and getting you to actually do the right things and focus on the right things right now. So, we talked a lot about if you've only been playing offense and not defense, right? For the sports people out there, they say championship teams have world-class defenses. Offenses score points, but defenses win games. So right now, I want you guys to be in a defensive mode, actually offensive and defense, but defensive quickly to reduce expenses, get the right plan in place, and then offensive to take action and do the right things and take advantage of the opportunities that may be coming your way by doing those right things. So with that, I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to flip it over to Jeremy, and I think it would be good to continue on the topic of opportunities and how to take advantage of opportunities and create that business out of thin air. You're on mute, Jeremy. Jeremy, you there? You're on mute. There you go.
There you go. All right. So basically what Noah said, I want to comment on two things that he said with you guys. What can you control and focusing on the wrong things? Okay. So check this out. You guys ready? Got everybody's attention? What can you control? Why don't you ask me about how my life's been in the last 8 weeks? Okay. And I'm going to give you an example because I'm going to give you what I'm about to say. Someone and everybody in this call has experienced one of these things. Okay. I have not taken a single day off in 8 weeks. Not one single day. Zero. I have worked anywhere between 12 to 16 hours a day. Not bragging about that. I coach people on balance and enjoying their life. I don't have a choice. You know what my choice is? I have people that rely on me, and I have people that need to talk to me, and I have people to lead. What you have to decide is, are you going to lead yourself? And what can you control in a day? Here's what you can control. And fire them away in the comments if you're having this issue. This is what I've gotten phone calls on. Do I feel like living? Is life really worth living right now? Should I get a divorce? Should I leave my family? I'm thinking about moving out of the area. I'm thinking about quitting real estate. Or on the positive side, I'm getting more stuff done than I ever have before. I'm getting in better shape than before. I'm doing business right now. I'm actually looking to hire people. How far difference was that conversation of going low to high? Fair, right? Shake your head, right? Is that glass half full or half empty? Is that gas tank half full, half empty? Is my cocktail half full, half empty? Is that keg half full, half empty? Depends how you look at it. Okay? Is that real estate investment that bad or that good? See, here's what I've learned. The people we hang out with, you'll find out real quick who they are in times like this. Not proud of this. Probably been in 100 fights in my life. You know why? Never started one. I finish them. I finish them because I back people, right? In life right now as a group, we need to back each other. Someone texted me today, and Lily, this is her answer. I fucking love you. Excuse the French. That is a text. I fucking love you. You know why? Because that person had a shitty day yesterday, and it was raining out, and guess what they wanted to do? Probably drink. And maybe half this group was drinking yesterday because it was a shitty day. And I started to have a drink last night, and I had one drink. I was like, this isn't going to fix anything. I just stopped. And you know what I did? I went back and worked, and I went to figure out what the hell am I going to do to make this company a better company, right? The only thing that we can do as a group right now, and Noah dropped gold nuggets, is focus on our emotional side, then our intelligent side. The magic that actually happens is what's called that fear does not exist. My dad taught me this when I was very young in a poor area in Western Pennsylvania called Punxsutawney. Fear does not exist. Jeremy, that 6'6" guy that wants to fight you, don't fear him. When that company wants to fire you that you're not doing well, don't fear them. When that college that you don't think you can get into, don't fear them. Don't fear the guy in the basketball court that can dunk it. You can jump 1 inch, Jeremy. Go right at him. And what Noah just told us was a golden nugget that I want you guys to understand and make sure that we're all on the same page. What can you control? There are things that Noah Ostroff is good at, and there's things that he stinks at. Just like every single person on here, there's good things we're good at and things that we are not good at. The magic is in between our head. And what Noah just dropped was, what can we control, right? He's very good at understanding what we can control. So I want you guys to understand today when we talk about these magic points is what can you actually control? You can control your schedule. You can control what you eat. You can control what you're doing. You can control your mindset. You can control if you're poor right now. You can control if you think you're going to make a lot of money. You can control your family sucks. You can control if your wife's mean. You can control if your husband's mean. You could always look at it 2 different ways. The only person that can decide the way you think is you. See, the magic is right here. We all have it. It's just how we look at it. I go to Noah one time. I said, Noah, how are you dealing with this? We didn't make money on this deal. Why aren't you beating yourself up? I don't understand. Jeremy, You make good deals and you make bad deals. All I do is I focus on the right thing. So the magic today is the emotional side of what we're going to be talking about are clear examples. I don't care what your intellectual capacity is. We all have the same capability of how to come out of this better. Is that fair? Shake your head if you're going through this right now. Is everybody going through highs and lows? Is there anybody nervous on this call that they don't have enough money to pay their taxes? There are people there. I have the calls right now. One of the reasons I didn't file the stimulus package is because I don't have enough money to pay my taxes. I'm nervous. You know what my response was? Don't freaking worry about it. You know how you pay your taxes? Pick up the damn phone, call every single person you know, and make sure that they know that you are there for them and you understand what they're going through. Al Allen sent me the best message through coronavirus time. Here's what it is. Jeremy, I just want to call and tell you, you're an amazing leader, and I appreciate every single thing that you do. And I respect you, and I respect what you do for your family. I said, Al, he goes, I got to go. Hung up. That's the best message anybody could give you. That's it. That's it. As a group, we have to understand the emotional side. How did that change my day? Was the magic in between my two ears. You know what I did, guys and girls? I picked up the damn phone and I worked my ass off that day because he got me in a good mood. He got me focused. I literally could have probably taken down the giant. I don't watch TV shows. No, what's the show? There's like a really, really big dude that everybody think you can't beat him. Who's the world's strongest guy? What's that show? You know what I'm talking about? Huh?
Talking about Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones, that big muscular guy. I literally thought I could take the guy down after hearing that magic. So no, let me ask you this question. And people fire questions off here. I got some commercial stuff. I got some real estate stuff. I'm going to go into some mindset stuff. Noah, how are you battling, or how do you get a mindset like you do and like I do? We talk about this, that you control the controllable. What tips can you give people to stop focusing on what you can't control? How do you do that?
It's all about perspective, right? It's all about perspective. You can come from this with an abundance mindset. You can come from this with a scarcity mindset. You have the choice of the perspective that you want to take. You can take the perspective of pretend we were all brand new. For the real estate agents on this call, we were all brand new real estate agents at one time.
Yep.
Think about the brand new real estate agents that just got their license 2 months ago, a month, whatever, like recently, they just got their license. They came into this business, they're excited. Maybe some of them had a plan. Maybe some of them were given a plan, and they're excited and ready to go, right? Think about the people that moved here from another city that don't know anybody, that came in and were like, all right, I don't know anybody, but I have a plan of what I'm going to do, right? I'm gonna put that to the side for 1 second, pin that up. Then you have the people that have been here for multiple years, dozens of years, been in the business in Philadelphia, had a good business, had a great business, and now all of a sudden the carpet's been taken out, the rug's been taken out from under them, right? So now instead of making X amount of dollars per year, they're making a fraction of that dollars per year, but they're making something, right? Now let's go back to the brand new agent. The brand new agent came into this making $0, right? $0, right? Because they're brand new. So now that brand new agent, they have to, if they sell one house, they're super excited, right? But now if you're selling 5 houses and you go to one house, you're like, oh, this is terrible. Now that brand new agent sells 2 houses and they're even more pumped. They're like, all right, I just went from 1 to 2 houses. Whereas, the more experienced agent went from 5 houses to 2 houses. Well, both of them sold 2 houses. So why is one person excited about selling 2 and the other person's mad about selling 2, right? It's all perspective. So I ask the question a lot, and I've asked this over the years, and now it's such a relevant question. If somebody were to pluck you up right out of your house and put you on a remote island or put you in a remote city that you didn't know anybody, and they gave you a laptop and they gave you a phone, how would you grow your business? And if you pause there for a second and think about that, whatever the answer to that question is, is what you should be doing right now. You wouldn't go into a brand new business, excited to get into a brand new business and say, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do this because interest rates are high, or people are telling me the market's bad, or there's, there's restrictions being put on me, or whatever, any other excuse that you can come. I don't know anybody. I've never been to this city, right? There's 1,000 reasons that we can come up with. Or we can go into it with the perspective of the positive mindset. I'm going to seek out the people that are doing well. I'm going to learn from what they're doing. I'm going to surround myself with positivity. I'm going to avoid the negativity. I'm going to get into a routine. I'm going to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I'm only going to focus on the things that work, right? So there's a lot of perspective that we have to put in here. So by putting it into perspective, it really will help us to understand the things that are within our control. So the things that I control every day are what time I wake up.
Right? Hold on, be ready, Fizz. Everybody get ready. It's exactly what we need to be focused on. All right, no, go.
All right, so I'm going to give you my routine. I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm just telling you this is what my routine is. So since day one of the quarantine, back in March, I made a commitment, just in my mind, not a commitment. I just did it, to wake up at the same time that I was waking up prior to this, right? So prior to this, I wake up about 6:15 every day. I work out pretty much every morning. Actually, prior to this, I was working out maybe 4, 5, 6 days a week. Now I'm 7 days a week. And the reason why I'm working out 7 days a week is because I don't want to get off my routine. It has nothing to do with anything, but just don't want to get off my routine. Because there's a saying that I kind of live by every time I wake up, and the saying is, some days you don't feel like getting after it, but that has nothing to do with getting after it, right? Some days you just don't feel like doing it, but it has nothing to do with actually doing it. So I wake up about the same time every day, around 6:15 or so. And I work out. Some days I run, some days I work out in my basement. I do push-ups, I do sit-ups, I do squats, I do dips on the stairs, stuff like that, stuff that I can control, right? I could say, well, my gym's closed. I can't go to the gym anymore. I can't do my normal stuff. Okay, I can't do that stuff, but there is stuff that I can do, and that's the stuff that I do. And I get a good workout, and I'm good. And then after that, I have my routine. I eat breakfast. I watch the Today Show for a couple minutes. I go take a shower, and I get my
Today Show. You watch the Today Show? Chris, I see Chris already picking her head up.
For 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I watch for 5 minutes.
All right.
For 5 minutes, and then I go into my office in my house, and I start work at the same time every day that I would have started if I were to go into like a physical office. I'm keeping my routine, because the routine is, for me, you have to have those small wins throughout the day, right? Those small things to look forward to throughout the day, and I try to position myself and put myself in the position to give myself as many small wins throughout the day as I can, because those small wins build up over time to more positive energy, the same way that small losses build up over time to negative energy. And I try to avoid the negative energy. Other than the 5 minutes of the Today Show I watch, I try to avoid the news. I try to avoid negative talk, negative people, negative conversations, and focus on the positive stuff, right? Okay, while I'm working out, while I'm running, I'm listening to an audiobook, I'm listening to a podcast, something like that to fulfill my mind with positivity or new ideas and stuff like that. So then I'm working, I have my meetings. I typically don't start any meetings before 9 o'clock, so I can keep my morning routine. So I'll start meetings at 9 o'clock, go to my normal meetings. And 12 or 12:30 every day, I will go to my kitchen, and I will have lunch. I'll have a quick lunch. And then around 1 o'clock, 1:30, I'll go out for a walk. I go for like a 3 to 4 mile walk every day. And I set a phone call at 1 o'clock with somebody every day. So every day at 1 o'clock, I'm scheduling a phone call, and I do those phone calls while I'm on my walk for an hour, hour and a half, or whenever I go out and walk. So it's time for me to get out of the house. It breaks up the routine a little bit. It gets me a little bit of exercise and whatnot. And I'm actually on the phone talking to people, whether it's a client, whether that's an agent, whether it's somebody that works with us, just staying in front of people. And then the rest of the day, I'm back working, back in the office, have dinner at the same time every night. And then after dinner, I try to shut it down and do some more things that are positive for me, whether it's hanging out with the kids, doing something with the kids or with the family, or just watching shows or TV by myself, or reading a book, or, you know, whatever things that are positive to me, that keep me happy and give me those small wins throughout the day. And then every night I go to bed at the same time I was going to bed before this, which is around, 10:15, 10:30, I'm going to bed, and that's my day. And I stay in that routine. And that might seem boring to a lot of you. And maybe
I was about to say, it sounds damn boring to me.
I was going to say, yeah. So it might sound boring, and maybe it is, but you know what I tell myself every day? I'm like, all right, I just got to do this one more day. Just got to do this one more day. Just got to do this one more day. And if you keep doing it for one more day, those one more days add up to enough where we're out of this and we're back into, a little bit of a normal life, if you will.
So no, I was just joking, but our boredom is our biggest competition, right? You and I have talked about that in the past, right? If you look at people who are trying to accomplish something big, they have the same routine. If you watch Mike McCann, you watched Bob yesterday, they're very normal. Would you guys agree? Bob and Mike are very normal, right? High personality, probably don't know too much about tech. They're just literally belly to belly people, hard workers, lead generating, and they're doing business, right? So they're very similar in that aspect, but boredom does not come into play because they're doing the same thing over and over again. So here's a question I have for you guys. I just asked you a question. What challenges do you guys have right now that's stopping you from getting to your goal? I'm reading this really good book right now that Noah told me about, The Road Less Stupid, right? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
And one of the things he talks about is leaders. There's like seven things that a leader needs to do on a daily basis. What obstacle are you guys having right now that could be magic that Noah and I could help you from getting to A to B? Alyssa, are you on this?
I'm here.
All right. We're going to let someone come on. Who would like to give an example that we will help you identify your mindset trick, your magic of how to get you from A to B? Who's having a challenge right now? And Alyssa will unmute you. Who's that, Dennis? Write in the chat line if you're having a challenge right now that you want to come on that we can help you. While you're doing that, because I can't see everybody on the screen, or Alyssa will do it, I have another question for you. Busy work. Who feels like you're doing busy work right now? Raise your hand. I can't see everybody, but raise your hand if you think you're doing busy work right now. All right, Chris Coyne, he has a challenge. I'm trying to revive old projects I never have time to do. I have a challenge. All right, so let's talk about that. So Chris, tell me what you're talking about.
Well, one of the things we seem always to get involved in is that routine. We're always like banging things out. We're chasing new business. And one of the things I've found, like you, is like I'm working harder than I ever have, and I'm going back to old projects that maybe I thought was a great idea 2 years ago, or a year ago, or 6 months ago, and trying to revisit them, talk to people to develop new opportunities to grow out of this problem. I mean, like you said, this will go away to some degree. And, what I'm trying to do now is establish profit centers and businesses that I think will thrive going forward. And, it's the things like, that's a great idea, but you never think about it. Now you're like, I got time. And I'm finding that so many people who are getting ahead of this are very interested in looking at new opportunities. So my challenge is, I've got two challenges. One, to get these things off the ground. And two, my other huge challenge, which you guys can probably help me with, is managing my staff from a TV screen.
Yeah.
Finding that very hard.
All right, let me go on the second one. I'll let Noah have the first one. The second one, Chris, is managing your leadership team from a computer screen. It's a very good one. I believe if we don't have three things in place, it makes it very difficult to get from A to B, and definitely when it's virtual. Number one, if you guys don't have this in place, every person on this group, this is another magic trick that'll help you get from A to B. you need to have a 411. And before you need a 411, you really need a 135. The 135, Chris, and I learned this from Keller, and it's good, is what's the one main goal? What's your 3 strategies? What's your 5 tactics that you're going to do to achieve it? If each one of your people know exactly where they're going as a goal, if they know where they're going, they'll actually achieve it. So now you guys each have a 135. All right, Chris, in your example, just make up a number. We need to do $500,000 new revenue. This is the 3 ways we're going to do it. Here's the 5 things how we're going to do it. Now they have this map. Now on a weekly basis, they have a 411 that basically says, here's what I'm going to do. Here's my 4 or 5 rocks to get back to my 135 so I can get my goal. So this week, I'm going to put a checklist in place for this. This week, I'm going to talk to 100 people. This week, I'm going to post on social media 3 times. And these 5 things that I did for the week all relay back to my main thing. I'm not walking down this path in the woods and not knowing where I'm going. When I talk to a lot of people right now, they feel like they're working hard, but they're working towards the right path. They're hoping there's no bear in the woods. They hope there's this beautiful lake and this boat and this house, but they're not sure, so they're walking all these different paths. The next thing what you need is what is, I believe, is a tracking sheet for them to understand what they're doing in you. So I started coaching. Brian Walters called me out on this. I had to start coaching our leadership team on a weekly basis on Mondays. They get 20 minutes, okay? And that 20 minutes, they need to have 3 things done before I talk to them: a 135, a 411, and they need to have their tracker updated. And what we did, Chris, is we had them write down for a week everything they do. And then we put it into a yearly, a monthly, a daily, a weekly, and a daily. And I can see within 2 minutes if they actually are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah. Now I can coach them and give them advice in those 20 minutes to lead them and do that. So if you're watching this right now, Chris has a team. If you guys don't have a team, do you have a tracking system that you could give a roadmap to the next person? Min, I'm just looking at you. Martin, I'm looking at you. Carol, I'm looking at you. As an individual, do you guys have a roadmap like Noah talked about earlier that you could give to one of your mentors or mentees, to the next person that you hired? If you don't, the magic won't happen because it's not scalable. Does that make sense? Yeah. So in Chris's case, that can work because he has a team. But if you guys don't have a team, you're watching this, you still got to pretend you have a team. You got to pretend that you're fighting for right now to win the NBA championship, but there is no NBA championship. You got to pretend that you're going to have to stand on stage and give a presentation, but there is no stage to stand on right now, right? You got to pretend that you're having issues that you might not see right now and figure out what those issues are. The way you do that, it's called magic. I believe it's called mindset tricks, and that's focusing on your emotional and your intelligence to figure out where you're going to go.
Yeah.
That make sense?
And I've had, go ahead. I've had one thing there too. One of the issues that I've had is managing my team's expectations, because we set goals like everything. We track them every week, but I've kind of torn between, I don't want them to think that this necessarily, 70%, 60% of production is okay, but I also don't want them to freak out that they're not meeting their goals. So, I mean, we're every week we're like, I'm trying to manage those expectations without giving them, the feeling that they can just give up. And that's one of the things I've had. So it's a tightrope, and it's been very delicate in trying to manage those diminished expectations.
All right. Let me add one more thing to that. And this is a mindset trick. So when you guys are setting goals, and someone just brought this up, and it goes right with what Chris is saying, is someone says, I'm having a hard time getting new prospecting done. I'm going on appointments, closing deals, but struggling to get more what I have. I'm having challenge to do it just to focus on one thing, okay? So Chris, in your case, what I would be doing, and this all comes back to lead generation with every person, in your case, it could be what that task is with the person, is I would have something in place that allows them to reward themselves, even if they don't achieve success, okay? And here's what it is. If you were trying to get your people to sell, I would have a goal in place of 100 contacts a week, okay? And the goal is to set 3 appointments. But if they don't set 3 appointments, it's okay. Their second fallout goal is 100 contacts. So what I would be doing right now, more important than ever, is making sure your people understand that even though they're not getting that 100%, like you said, they're at 70, what's that second goal that makes them feel good that they achieved it? Because normally it's just the number, but is it actually the action? At this point right now, actions are very important.
What I think we've been doing is, we're reaching out. Each one has a daily goal to contact 50 of our clients, not to sell them, but just to say, hey, listen, how are you doing? And, here's the ways you can contact us. Do you need time to pay your bill and all that kind of stuff? And actually the successes they've been most proud of is like when they get the older lady who's living alone at her home and they spend 20 minutes on the phone with her talking about how she hasn't seen her grandchildren in 2 months. And I actually think that's really been one of the things that keeps them going. It's nuts when you have these conversations, what's keeping them going.
That is a success story in itself.
Yeah.
Yep. So Krista, Greg, you posted this question.
Actually, before I
give it back to you.
Yeah, before you jump into the next question, let me just say one thing there. We've been gifted with the opportunity that we always talk about not having enough time for, and that's the ability to be able to spend more time working on our business than in our business. Right. And the difference between that is in our business is just like the daily grind of taking the phone calls and dealing with home inspections and dealing with writing offers, like all the stuff that we do as a real estate agent is working in the business. Right now, we've been gifted with something called thinking time, right? We have the time to think about working on the business. We can put the strategies in place. We can put the tactics in place of where we want to take our business, where we want to take our lives, what we want the business to look like, and what we're going to do to go out and make sure it looks like that. Because what happens in a lot of people's businesses, they end up getting sucked into a specific type of business, whether that's a neighborhood, a price point, or whatever. And they end up just dealing with that because that's the business that's coming to them, and they never get to go out and actually do the business that they want. And therefore they're not happy. They're not content with it. And they're just not feeling satisfied. Now's the time for us to go out and figure out what we want the business to look like. Who is our perfect client? Where are we going to go find them? What service and value do we want to deliver to them when we actually find them? And put the plan in place to go out and do that. Now's the time to be able to work on the business and structure it the way that we want to be doing it.
So 2 people asked the same question. I actually got another private message on this too, is I'm having a hard time. One is like what to focus on. Another one is, lead gen. If you're watching this right now, you should be focusing on lead gen, just contacting and talking to people. But the other part is the exercise and health, right? So if you guys are asking me like, how many people should I talk to a week? It should be 100. Okay. 100. And off 100, you should be setting 3 appointments. And newer agents, 50-to-1 contact to 1 ratio. An experienced agent, they know the person's 10-to-1. If you're in the middle, it's 25-to-1. That's my 2 cents on what you should be doing right now. And if they're not setting appointments, you should be building your funnel of just talking to people, like I told Chris, and make sure you talk to 100. So when the market turns, you have a funnel.
All right.
That's my opinion. What's yours?
All right. I'm going to give you a 10, but maybe a couple bonus step lead generation plans for your business. You can write these down, take notes. If you do these, if you can't figure out what to do, then just do these things I'm about to tell you. Now, these are mostly designed towards, being able to interact with people outside of Zoom. However, we can certainly tailor this to what we're dealing with right now. Okay, number 1, 2 networking events each month. Okay. Now you might say, well, I can't go out and network. Of course you can. You just have to do it in a different format, right? You have to figure out how to do it. You can do it like this. I see people doing virtual happy hours and all these different types of networking events on Zoom all the time. These are the things you should be doing in your business every single month. Okay. Number 1, 2 networking events each month. Number 2, 10 business lunches, coffees, or breakfast with connectors each month. Some of you will say, well, how am I going to do that? Well, you sit in front of the Zoom, you sit in front of the camera, and you both eat lunch together. It's the same way you would do it normally. You can figure it out. Number 3, 1 public speaking engagement each month. Why do you do that? Because it builds credibility, it builds validity. When you're out there talking, people are listening or they pretend to be listening. It gives you the ability to do that, and it gives you the ability to work on your public speaking. So when you go on listing appointments, when you're meeting with clients, you have practice by going on these public speaking engagement. What I'm doing right now, what Jeremy's doing right now, I would consider that a public speaking engagement. Do some of those, right? One per month. Number 4, connect and have a business conversation with 100 past clients or center of influence each week. Okay, 100 each week. That might sound like a lot to you, but break it down. Can you do 15 a day? If you're working 5 days a week, can you do 20 a day? Does that sound like a lot to people? Maybe some people yes, maybe some people no. If I said, hey, can you talk to 4 people an hour? Does that make it sound more attainable? Great. Talk to 4 people an hour, 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's how you get your 100 conversations. Okay. Number 5, 20 business Facebook posts per month. Okay. When everybody has social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or whatever other social media you're using, be strategic about what you're doing with your social media accounts, because that is your social database, right? Facebook is your social database. So you might be wanting to post personal stuff on there so people get to know you personally. That's great. Make sure that you're also plugging in 20 business Facebook posts per month as well, so people know that you're in the business. If you're not willing to promote yourself, then nobody's going to be willing to promote you either. So you have to be willing to promote yourself and put yourself out there. Number 6, 100 Facebook comments on friends pages. Okay, Jeremy, you probably get about 1,000 a month, maybe 1,000 a day. You're very good at commenting on people's stuff. You're letting people know that you care about them. You're reminding them that about you, actually, because sometimes I get comments from people and I'm like, oh, forgot about this person. I haven't talked to them in a while, right? You have to make sure that you're putting yourself out there. And so comment on 100 Facebook posts on your friends' pages each month. Number 7, add 50 new Facebook friends each week. Should be very easy to do right now because you're meeting a lot of random people. The reason you do that is because you want to build your platform as big as possible. So when you deliver your message, whether it's business, personal, all that stuff, you're delivering it to a bigger platform, a bigger group of people, right? It's the same reason why we don't put billboards in the desert, because nobody's going to see it, right? You put a billboard in Times Square and a lot more people are going to see it. People pay a lot of money for that. So build your platform, Facebook, Instagram, social media, whatever that's going to be, as big as possible. So when you put these posts out, when you put these messages out, as many people can see it as possible. All right, next one. Number 8, create 5 videos each month and post them on social media. So now's the perfect time to do it because we're sitting in front of a camera all day anyway. We might as well create some content, some videos that people want to see. Maybe some of them will be personal. Maybe some of them will be, getting to know you, letting them know that you're authentic, that you're a real person, because people want authenticity now, right? They want to know who the people is that they're working with and interacting with. But also make sure that you're posting things of value. Maybe it's stuff about the market. Maybe it's creative content that you think people will be interested in. Be interesting. People want to be attracted to interesting people. Number 9, add 40 new contacts to your database each month. Okay, that shouldn't be hard. That's a little more than 1 a day. Adding contacts to your database. Same reason why we're adding them to social media. We're adding them to our database as well. So when we deliver these messages through our 36 touch plan, or however many touches you have throughout the year, you're delivering that message to a larger group of people, and you're stacking the deck in your favor and putting the odds in your favor. Number 10, this one you have to be a little more creative about, but 6 open houses per month. Okay, now that was a lot easier when we could actually do open houses, but you can do virtual open houses. There's different creative ways to do things where you actually probably have a greater audience for a virtual open house than you may actually have from an open house where you sit in the house, waiting for people to come in. So these are the bonus ones. These are kind of, these 11, 12, and 13 are the bonus ones. They're kind of similar to some of the other ones, but I mentioned 2 coffee meetings or lunches per week. That should be the goal every week. If you want to figure out what to do, when you make your 100 calls, when you make your contacts, the goal is to be to get those 2 coffee meetings or lunch meetings. You sit down face to face with somebody. Everybody eats breakfast, lunch, dinner every day, or maybe you have a couple meals every single day. Sit down with somebody else, have a conversation with somebody, right? What else are you doing, right? Use this time to connect with people. And by doing that, you should still have the goal to get 4 listing contracts signed per month. That's number 12. And number 13, get 4 buyer contracts signed per month. Those should be the goals, that by doing the above 10 or 11 things, you should be able to get 4 listing contracts, 4 buyer contracts signed every single month. And the goal is right now, we all need to come to work, show up to work every day as if we were unemployed. The goal is to get hired every day. The goal is to get hired every day, whether that's getting someone to hire you to list their property, whether that's somebody hiring you to work with you as a buyer's agent, or whatever other business you're in. The goal is to get some business every single day. So those are my lead generation tips. Hopefully some value coming out of those.
You guys want to give me a thumbs up for that top 10 list? That was pretty good, Noah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right. So if you have any other questions, ask it. We're going to be wrapping up here relatively shortly, but I want to throw something with you guys. Here's my bonus for the day, my final point. In this group, give me a thumbs up if sometimes you hang out with your friend and they're rich and you don't have what they are, you get jealous. Come on, be honest. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you ever look on Facebook and someone's in better shape than you are and you get jealous.
Nobody's in better shape than you, Jeremy.
All right. Okay. They haven't seen my 2 chins. All right. Raise your hand or thumb if you ever feel that you're harder on yourself than others. You see yourself differently than others do. Okay. All right. Where am I going with all this? In times like this, people are out there, they're going to try to take advantage of you all, and they're going to take advantage of me. They're going to try to show you what you don't have. Is that fair? What you need to focus on is yourself. Don't focus on the short term. And I'm going to show you this. No one on this call is going to get super uber rich off selling real estate. I'm sorry. You're going to do well. That's your job. Your wealth is going to be created by owning it. Does that make sense? Alan Dahm has said that. I make a living selling real estate. I build my wealth owning it. So if a company comes to you and says, hey, I can give you a better split. If your friend comes to you and say, hey, I got some quick cash for you, it's a high percentage. If your friend ever tries to fix a problem that's short term, does it ever fix the long-term problem? If you cut your hand and it's bleeding really, really bad, does a Band-Aid stop it? No. You got to go to the hospital and get stitches and take care of it. Here's the point. In this group, we all have to not worry about everybody else and worry about ourselves. Companies are not going to fix your problem. You got to fix it. If you're watching this and you're at KW Philly and you need more help, reach out to us. If you're watching this video and you don't work at KW Philly and you need more accountability right now, reach out. We have the training, we have the support. But what you have to remember is this. The income that you make selling real estate needs to be invested in real estate. Noah's not going to retire off selling real estate. Noah's going to retire off owning real estate. Jeremy Bowers is not going to retire off of being the role I am at KW. He's going to retire owning real estate. Does that make sense? The true magic today that we've been giving you a lot of gold nuggets is all between the 2 ears. We just got to look at it differently. And many times we're going down these roads looking at it the wrong way. And as a leader, Noah and I are supposed to help you guys understand which way to focus on. So when a company calls you or a friend calls you and offers you something really aggressive, short term, does it really get you the long-term goal? That's not magic. That's called bullshit, people. What you need to just focus on is lead gen, taking action, saving money, and buying real estate. The 5 people you guys hang out with is what your net worth is going to be. Hang out with people like us. We will help you become a better person. You will help us become a better person. We'll help you create more wealth. You will help us. You got to make it a win-win. And if you focus on just selling real estate to buy your investments, you all are going to do well. Does that make sense? And what I'm having happen right now is too many people are asking me questions on, hey, Jeremy, how do I get out of this situation? How do I do this? I said, you're looking at it the wrong way. How do I buy real estate in a time like now to build my wealth? Okay. I've built some really cool things during this time. It's going to show you guys how to build wealth by owning real estate. But I only can do that if you actually just focus on what's between your 2 ears right now. Noah, over the years when you're doing this, you've been through ups and downs markets. At the end of the day, do you believe that if you do X things will have you build a better life and the wealth? Would you agree that you're only just focused on one thing? That one thing is going to lead to a bigger thing. I've watched you, all the businesses you're involved in, you're really putting your wealth into real estate. Is that fair?
Yep.
So what tips would you give everybody to focus on the right thing right now? Because I believe at the end of the day, the magic today, what we talked about, is what's the thing that they need to be focusing on. I believe it's lead gen. I believe it's creating income so they can buy more real estate. Is there anything else you think they need to be doing?
I'll leave you guys with this, and then we can end it. But I would say use this time to figure out what you want, right? Jeremy and I gave you a couple ideas today, and I'm sure you've gotten ideas from everybody else. Take those ideas, listen to what everybody has to say, and pick the one that is most exciting to you. And pick the one that you think is going to be the best for you, and come up with a plan of how you're going to execute on that idea or that thing. And then be content with putting that plan in motion, because there's going to be a lot of distractions every single day from people telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And maybe they're right and maybe they're not right, but it doesn't really matter. You need to be content with the plan that's going to work for you. And you need to be content and focused on executing on that plan. And if you do that and stop worrying about what other people are saying, what other people are thinking, because you're just content in the plan that's going to work best for you, and you focus on that, that's really the best advice that I can give you. And I'm not telling you that's easy to do, because being content is a very hard thing to achieve, especially, like you said, when you can see what everybody else is doing. But you have to really dial it in and go internal with it and figure out what it is that you want, how you're going to execute on it, and put those horse blinders on and not look what everybody else is doing and just push ahead.
So we have a couple more questions that came in. What would you say about investing right now versus saving cash?
I would say there's no bad time to buy a good investment. You should, as an investor, you should always be shopping for good deals. You shouldn't always be buying good deals, but you should always be shopping for good deals. And that's why you keep the cash on the sidelines. So when a good deal does come along, you're ready to jump on it. And could there be better deals in 6 months than now? Possibly. But you have to set what your investment criteria is, what you consider a good investment to be. And when those investments come your way that fit that criteria, you should jump on it.
It's interesting, man. I've noticed this hanging out with you more over the last 2 years. One thing that there's a lot of things you do well, but the one thing what you just said there I thought was really, really, really important was what works for them. What's that one thing that you're going to focus on that works for them? Don't worry about everybody else. Don't be the leader or the follower. Just worry about what works for you. And most times, if you just focus on creating your own business and then taking that money and putting your own area that you feel comfortable owning real estate in, you'll be fine. But as soon as you start listing all these outside influences and people impacting you, trying to change your lives, most of the time they just want something. There's not like they're trying to get something out of it. And it's interesting, dude. You do a very good job of like putting those horse blinders on, like you said, and just digging that hole deep, right? And I don't think it's always that easy to do. Carrie says this. How do you find good deals? It's a great question, Carrie. So Noah's good deal and my good deal could be two different things. Noah likes certain areas. I like certain areas. Carrie, you like certain areas. What you have to determine is where you're trying to go in life and what type of return you want. So some people might want appreciation. Some people might want cash flow. Some people might want appreciation, cash flow. Some people might want forced pay down, depreciation. Depends what they want in their life. There's normally four things in real estate a person wants. I would say what Noah just said earlier is buy in an area that you like, buy in an area that you trust, and buy in an area you believe, and you'll do well. If I say to Noah right now, I got a great deal for you in Conshohocken, he won't even look at it. He has his horse blinders on where he likes his areas, and that's it. For me, I love Conshohocken. It's easy. I know it well. I have my contractors out there. I buy in the city. I do okay in the city. I love my suburb buys. I live in the suburbs. It's good. Still take my cities. He loves his Graduate Hospital, Grays Ferry, around that area. Right? He does very well in that area, in that area. So there's no right answer, Carrie. It's just what makes you comfortable. Is it better to fix or flip or hold or rent?
So
once again, Carrie, it depends what your goal is.
So my strategy for that is, my business is three parts. You have your job, which is selling real estate. Then you take that money and you roll it into the flips, which is where you get a chunk of cash coming in after you flip the property. And then you take that money and you put it into the long-term wealth building stuff, which is the rental stuff, right? Wealth, we said, is having $1 more of passive income than you have in personal expenses. For me, the long-term game is to have cash flow coming in, right? Because at some point you're not going to want to be working as hard as you're doing right now. You're going to want to be making money in your sleep and having, your money make money for you. So that's the long-term game. But like I said, it is a long-term game. You have to have long-term perspective on this type of stuff. You're making a lot more money now selling real estate or whatever your business is than you're probably going to make from day one in, rental properties and stuff like that. But if you keep chipping away at it every year, and starting off with, like a little snowball, and that snowball keeps getting bigger and bigger every year, you're adding more cash flow into it. In 10 years, in 15 years, that snowball is huge and you have a lot of cash flow coming in, but you have to be committed to the process and realize that have the long-term perspective and being committed and focused on chipping away at that every single year.
So for me, I did the same thing where the sales fed the flips fed the rentals. For you guys right now, if you're watching this, if you don't own rentals, just work towards one rental a year. If you own one, work towards two. For me, I earmark anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 will buy me a rental. Okay? That's my normal money I try to save to buy one rental is 30 to 50 grand. My normal flip, I like to be in them for about 68 cents on the dollar. Okay. The market turns, 15%, 10, I still can get out of my deals. If I'm making 30% on my money, I'm happy and I'm trying to leverage the banks, right? If not, I'm leveraging people's private money. I'm paying them. If I get my 30% return on it, I'm good. But I'd like to be around 32 just for a little safeness there. So Carrie says, thanks to Noah and Jeremy for that tip. We're going to leave it one last thing, throw it out there, do a little Hail Mary with us right now. Anybody else have any more questions for us? You got us right now before we end this. Was today helpful for you guys?
I see even the people that have their cameras off are shaking their head, yes.
Yeah, look at that. Good. All right, I see some good thumbs ups, right? So
all right,
just
guys.
Well, yourself. Thanks for coming in. What were you saying, Noah?
No, I was just going to thank everybody for being here today and spending their the last hour with us.
Where are you at right now?
I can't tell you. It's an undisclosed location.
Pretty cool. Looks nice, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm not allowed to tell you.
So if you guys are watching us at KW Philly, we miss you. We can't wait to see you again. We'll be live again tomorrow at 11 o'clock. If you guys don't work at KW Philly, we'd love to talk to you. I'd love to have the opportunity. Me, Mike, Noah, anybody here at the office would love to talk to you. And Alyssa will put my contact information here. But if you just go to the $1 billion office, all my information's on there. It's Jeremy Bowers. But just worry about yourselves, guys. The magic's between our ears. We only create it, and fear is made up. Have a great day.
Have a great day, guys.